Who's doing our intro? We
Wow. I
two
don't
clinical
know.
psychologists warmly invite you to join us each week as we explore diverse topics within the realm of psychology and wherever our minds bring us, to be honest. Together, we'll discuss how this fascinating field influences both our professional development and our everyday lives. We'll also share those insightful moments
Hmm.
when psychology sparks our inspiration. Our conversations do not replace psychological services.
Nope. Well, thanks for kicking us off, Lo. That
Yes.
intro
We
is
got there.
very representative of our topic and where we are today.
I was thinking the same thing.
Sometimes it's going to be smooth and put together, and other times it's just not. Because you know why? We're humans. We are not perfect. We have a hard time keeping it together. Welcome to today.
No matter how put together we might seem, we're not.
I know. I would hate to give off the wrong impression. I know we come across as being just so put together.
That would be just a crying shame.
Exactly. We had to tone it down to
Yeah.
really show you guys where we are.
Yeah. That's why we do it. That's why we do it.
That's how we do it. That's what we do. So, Lo, what are we going to start off with today?
I almost felt like that was enough of an icebreaker, but I feel like our icebreaker just matches alongside it so well
Yeah.
that we wanted just to do like a little snippet about realizing that we've invested so much of ourselves into building our competence, our insight,
Mhm.
wealth of resources into the specific area of psychology that sometimes we don't quite have the same level of brain cells invested in other areas anymore.
No,
Um,
not at
my
all.
mother is a physician, and somebody at one point said she's so smart about so many things, and just kind of drops the ball in a lot of other things. And I was like, what a rude thing to say about somebody's mother. But also, yeah. And I always worried about that. And now I'm like, you know what? When I'm in the client session and I am just vibing with them so deeply, and it's almost like in my mind palace, I can see everything they've ever experienced and how it all leads to this moment in their future. And I go home and I don't know how to cook most things.
No.
Humbled, humbled in my heart and in my mind.
Yeah, no, completely. Like it was a joke, I feel like, or it started out as a joke in grad school, and then through the training years, whenever people would be like, "Oh, that's a great idea," I'd be like, "Oh, because I have one or half of a brain cell just working its way," and
Yep.
people would be like, "Oh, you're so funny," but that was the truth. I did not have much, and I still don't have much because you're right. You'll be sitting there vibing, and you're just going through and you just can't recall different things. Like my word finding and concept finding, and for you non psychology folks who are not super familiar with what that terminology means, it is very self explanatory. My ability to describe things has really, really fallen below the baseline here. I was telling Lo before we pressed record, I have the hardest time these days, and this has happened on multiple occasions. It's not just one occasion, it's happened on multiple occasions. I could not for the life of me remember the word hourglass, but I was able to describe the concept of, well, you know, that timer that has sand in it? I think it's just a timer. I don't think it has like a name. It does. Everyone, it has a name. It's called an hourglass.
Alana, you keep things simple, things realistic. It's a valid term.
It really is. If we were
You
playing
like
charades with words, it
you
would
like
have worked.
you like the vintage reference?
Exactly.
The pharaohs weren't calling it an hourglass. Did they have hours?
Exactly.
That's
Exactly. Although I did say surname one time in one of our team meetings, and one of my managers was like, because her husband is Scottish, she was like, I don't think I hear a lot of like Americans say surname. And I was like, blame it on the fantasy reading. I read a lot.
Yes, that is so funny.
Yeah, kindred spirit with half a brain cell. That's how I'm describing myself.
Lana, it's her name. Thank
Yeah,
you
so
for
that's our icebreaker this week.
and there you have it.
There you have it. So, in terms of our topic, as we make this very not hard transition, kind of like we're turning left. We are transitioning for the past few. I was going to say appointments. These are not appointments, you guys. As a reminder, this is
Yeah,
not a replacement for therapy.
but we only think about one thing, and it is
One thing and one thing only. In the previous episodes, if you are listening chronologically or as they're being uploaded, hopefully we upload them in the proper order. Fingers crossed. As you guys are saying, this 2-woman operation here is a little different. So, for the previous episodes that we've done, we've talked about our internship process, what it was like being on internship, where we were, and today we wanted to kind of talk about what helped us get through, which is a large concept in itself. We're obviously not going to go into the weeds. But Lo, let's start off with you. What helped
Mm.
you get through internship?
I don't know if I got through it. I might
Valid answer.
just a second version of myself, and the first one's lost somewhere. I was re-uploaded. What helped me get through is so before going on internship, my life was pretty chaotic. I had a long commute. I lost a nearest and dearest family member. I went through a move. I had a really hyperactive puppy. I'm actually in this room today hiding from my dogs. I needed a break. I needed an hour away.
Oh
Um,
no, no
and you
cameo.
no heavy breathing after this loss.
What will we do?
What's to be done?
And
Um,
we love them, you guys. We do. But their breathing is a bit disruptive sometimes.
so much constant cuddling. So I just had a lot going on before internship. So when I went on internship, I gave myself the freedom to have a very simplistic life. I did very little. I had a few people in my social circle that I was committed to. I gave myself permission to not maintain a lot of long distance relationships for the year. People understood it. I was grieving. I was not my happiest, peppiest, brightest, most put together self. So I did internship. I walked my dog many hours, many miles a day, and I got a lot of sleep. And that's how I got through it. And it was really restful. I think
That's nice. In the context of everything, the fact that you were able to have rest is that's a nice perk.
other people do fun things, they travel, they like watch TV.
Low slept and
I
recovered.
had it felt monastic. Tell me, my partner doesn't like if I use that term, but I think he holds monasteries in very, very high regard. And he's like, you're not it.
Oh,
Uh, for reasons, because I'm a person and I'm not in a monastery. But it did feel very like the simple,
yeah.
no hubbub life.
Yeah. I mean, from the outside looking in, it did seem like you had kind of curated as much peace as you could in that
Yeah.
area and at that time.
And I mean, I was in Washington State. I got to walk around for miles every day. It was gorgeous. It
And
was nowhere cheap.
you were walking.
I have never walked as many miles in a year, and I probably never will again.
Like there would be so many Marco Polos you would send me, and you were not sitting down. You were out and about. That
One
people
point,
don't realize when you say you were
yeah.
walking miles, you were. Like it was like Forrest Gump when he was just walking.
What an honor to be compared to what character of high repute.
Not
He
sure I'm with
I mean,
you.
he's kinda crossed states, so I don't take that lightly, thank you.
You're welcome.
What got you through internship? You had a very different energy.
Oh God. Yeah, I did. Um, so funny enough, a little bit of travel actually did get me through internship. I went to Kentucky, Louisville, Kentucky for my internship. And so because it's a bit of a smaller state or much smaller of a state compared to California and especially Texas, I do feel the need to say that because people always talk about how big Texas is. Obviously, I'm not from there. I don't really know the lore. But I was close to Tennessee, Indiana, Ohio, a couple other surrounding places, but those were the places that I frequented. For various reasons, I had family in Tennessee. And then one of our close friends from our grad program was actually in Tennessee. And so she was 6 hours from me, but sometimes we would meet up in Nashville, which was actually a nice midpoint. And then one of our other friends from our cohort was also in Kentucky. He was about an hour east of me. So in the very beginning, I would go over and watch Harry Potter with him because some lore about me, I was a very easily scared child, and Voldemort scared everything out of me when I was little. I did not like ugly things, and he was the ugliest thing I had seen. Oh, I did not watch the movies, didn't even read the books. And so
Mom likes things of beauty.
that's the takeaway here. But honestly, what 6, 7, 8-year-old wants to look at Voldemort? Or the guy that had like the turban and he had like the face on the back of his head. I guess it was Voldemort. Terrifying. That scared me. And so I would go and I'd watch Harry Potter with our friend from our cohort. And yeah, so like I did that. I would be remiss to not mention, like, I did have one good friend from my cohort, my internship cohort. That was nice to kind of spend time with.
Makes
And
such a
then she was such a great friend and continues to be a really great friend. And then I dated while I was there because I was like, how
yeah,
else am I going to see the city? If anything, you're really finding that I found ways to kind of fill my time. So I did all of that. And then I also had this journal, which not sure how legible it is, but it basically says minding my black owned business. So essentially, I kept all of my deadlines and my goals for internship and postdoc on there. I like to know what's coming next. I am type A. When I was in high school and undergrad, I was type A plus plus. Grad school took it down to A plus and a half. Postdoc took me down to probably just A plus, or internship took me down to A plus. And I think postdoc, I'm still maybe A plus, maybe just a solid A. And I think that's probably where I'll stay. Yeah, but I did that. That was really helpful for me to get through because I really needed to see what was coming next. There were a couple of things that I was experiencing on my internship year where it would have been very easy for me to get stuck and stagnant, or maybe not stuck and stagnant, but that would have taken me off of the path that I worked so hard to be on,
well
and that I
said.
really wanted. They would have been cool, but I really wanted to be able to stay focused. And it wasn't until I was on internship that I realized, oh, I have to actually change how I view my career trajectory instead of just looking at, oh, I just want to do all the things because they're interesting. Okay, yeah, that's like a kid in a candy store type of approach, but what do you actually want to do? And that's honestly how this was born. I had a version of this. I was telling Lo, I had a version of this in undergrad, but this was really born out of that realization. We were touring some rotations in my internship, and I wanted to do all three of them. That's a lie. I only wanted to do two of them, actually. I did not want to do the third because it was in residential for kids. I don't work with kids. So that's a no-go. I work with teenagers outside of residential, but that's a hard line. We'll talk about that on another episode. But I really was like, okay, how do we hone in? And that was my helpful thing. So yeah, all that to say, a lot of different things helped me get through internship, like yours. but I think it was less peace bound. You had more peace in yours. I was definitely an anxious, buzzing bee.
Mhm.
And that manifested in a lot of different ways for me on internship. But I was happy to come back home.
That's such an interesting, maybe final point for us where it's like both of our outputs were born from not being in the healthiest, most life-giving spaces and places.
Mhm. Yeah,
Um, and
we're
like
thinking about it.
how what do we do in a response to being overloaded with stress?
Because I look back on internship and I was so stressed,
Yeah.
so stressed.
Yeah.
As I think most of us are and were at that time, because there's just so much writing on this contract that you
Yeah.
have to get done, but also life doesn't stop. And so you're still living life. And I mean, for both of us, we had to move and leave our communities. Granted, you had some form of a community in Washington, but still it was different. And then for me, I
Yeah.
was halfway, I wasn't even halfway, I was fully pretty much across the country. And I did have family in Tennessee, but I didn't grow up with them. And I had a couple friends, but we were all three on internship. So, like, we were all busy and struggling and in the depths of trying to figure out what is life because we're about to be out of grad school and we don't know what that means. It was a lot. It was a lot.
Yeah. We
Yeah.
were like
So,
trying to make a life out of so many situations
mhm.
that we were just trying to get through.
Yeah. And I think the life, I like how you put it, of feeling like, okay, maybe that version of myself is still there. I think I would say the same thing for me. Like, there was a life that I created,
Mm,
but it was very temporary and very contained within that
mm,
12-month contract and that 12-month time, which is so strange to look back on and see. But I'm not that version of myself
yeah,
anymore for a lot of different reasons. And same
yeah,
for you for a lot of different reasons. But it's almost kind of like that was our response to that statement that often is shared in graduate programs, which is you can do anything for a year. Just because you can does not mean you should, you want to, or that you even have the capacity to.
oh, woof. Let me
Yeah,
tell you, that's a whole nother box to
that
open.
is totally a
Ooh.
yeah. Talk about toxic messaging.
Yeah. And how little we can give.
Yeah.
Anyways,
As
thank
we both go back to internship.
yeah. Boundaries and professional settings. Way to get me heated. Just
Tune in next time. We will discuss.
it's gonna be fun.
But no, definitely an interesting topic for today. Very, very interesting. Thank you for sharing your
I
experience
want
with internship.
I want this Chronicle of Lana to make reappearances. It's just so moving. So moving. I think it's a will and testament. It's something that you didn't just sit down and crank out. Like it grew as you grew,
Yeah.
and there's a part of you in it. Like there's a reflection of your soul in that. And that's just so incredible.
Oh, thank you.
The
I am
Chronicles of
probably
Lana.
I am probably going to misuse this term, but I already covered myself by saying I struggle in this outside of the clinical space. That was a very monastic thing for you to say.
What? Oh my goodness. Am I older? Nah.
No, truly. I mean, you always just bring just such a beautiful reframing space
Mm.
to conversations, and so I really appreciate that reframe. I truly do, and I'm always in awe of just your worldview and how you view things and put things into perspective. It's so grounding.
Tattoo that upon my heart.
Sure will. I've got the pen.
It hurt, but it's worth it.
It
I
hurt, but it
have,
came from the heart.
I have worse tattoos, so not mad about it. Alana said I'm really deep.
In very shaky cursive font. might have to be like 2-3 lines across the sternum.
Said I have, and then just continue under really big thoughts. Pretty words. Like starts.
Lisa Frank sticker just slapped right next to it.
I want a rainbow leopard.
Of course. Because if you're doing Lisa Frank, why wouldn't you?
What other options?
Or the
Well,
holographic doctor. That one's always
that sums it up perfectly. Stay tuned.
does.
Talk about the impact Lisa Frank had on a generation.
Choke.
Wow. Thank you for joining with us today as we explored the limited but deep competencies we've developed.
Mm-hmm.
And you can make a guess where those are at. It's up for you to decide. Lana, do you want to tell the good people where they can find us on the digital media, on the web?
Yeah. Yes, I was going to say the dark web. Well, you cannot find us on the dark web.
Join us on the dark web.
No, we're on the light Lisa Frank side of the web.
Not that way.
Exactly. We are quite fragile people. So you can find us on Instagram. I will memorize this eventually, but I'm going to look off camera so I get our handle correctly. It is very simple.
When all icons show up on our slides.
There you go. It's me. So you can find us on Instagram at m.pod. m.h pod. Nope. mmh.pod. See? And this is why I have to read. Limited capacities. Pod. That's where we will provide all episode updates, extra content, and you can also send us a direct message if you have a certain concept idea that you want us to cover, topic, thing of that nature.
Good thinking.
That's where you can find us for right now.
I really like the idea of it being mm.h. I'm just
looking at our burner account.
Our dark web account. Pod. Here we have real thoughts on boundaries and clinical work.
Exactly. We'll just have to switch identities so that we can't be tracked.
Yeah. I'm all, and this is, you know. Don't work.
No. But it works. It works too well.
Well, you know. Anyways, baby birds, we'll feed you more. Our next episode might cover. I actually wrote down an idea.
Great.
I have an idea for our icebreaker. Who knows what the content will be? We're going to talk about what we need in life to get more done.
Oh, I love that. I'm going to start thinking about it now, so I do have a succinct answer for you when we return.
You are in for a twist. I want you to say, yeah, this is our content. We don't need to plan it out right now. Very excited for next episode, though.
Very. All right, baby birds. Thanks for tuning in this week. We'll catch you later.
Au revoir.
Bye.